Yes, I've mentioned this knife a couple of times and the insanity of bringing a Bowie knife onto an airplane in 1976. Today you'd be on the news, the evening news, filmed in handcuffs being escorted from Tullamarine Airport. But this is the knife. So Gould had told me his grandfather left him all these knives. This knife could be 100 years old or close to it. The reason I chose this one, you can't see it now, but there was an Indian head there with a headdress. Yeah, I mean, it's really rusty now. I don't know why I brought it back with me, why it was that important to me, but I've got a hint. If you look at this book, this is the madness. This is how dumb we were, particularly me. So they read us this book at school in Brackpan High, and I think the teacher thought it was a good idea because the second half of the book is where this author turns to Christianity. But the first half of the book is where he's in these gangs, and it inspired the imaginations of the kids at Brackpan High. Suddenly kids started bringing knives to school, and Van Rensburg brought Uncle Baby's bayonet to school, sharpened. They cut my school tie up with the bayonet. But I went one step further, which was terrifying, really. My dad had these cutthroat razors that he used to sharpen on a strip of leather. They were incredibly sharp, and I started bringing these cutthroat razors to school, slashing. We'd have these knife fights. And in fact, there's a scar on my leg. I don't know if I could find it now, where Arnold Herald got me with a knife, scarred my leg to this day, and I threw a knife at him. It might have been this one. Hit him in the back, but it hit him with the hilt. So anyway, yeah, there's the knife that I carried in my backpack when I came back from South Africa in 1976, and the stupid knife that I tried to keep down my sock when we went to Moomba with Dee Dee to see AC/DC. Amazing the things you keep, eh? I wasn't fooled. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys. I've been here a few times. A relic of my existence here. If that's the word. Evidence of my existence here. So, I stayed at my sister's for years. I treated it like a freaking hotel. I was 15, 16, with the maturity of a 12-year-old. And, as I said, I didn't like the discipline. Didn't like her telling me what to do. Because I kind of felt grown up and independent. Back in Brackpan, I was a little punk. Hung around with friends in Brackpan wearing our long greatcoats, carrying knives, and I used to carry these bloody cutthroat razors. So we thought we were something. Well, I thought I was something. Just a punk. Yeah, so I did quite a lot when I first got back, and wanted to see all these people that I knew before we left, or the family knew, I should say. And one of those was a girl called Dee Dee Bentley. She was sort of close to my age, but maybe she was a year or 18 months older. So we contacted the Bentleys. They were friends of my mum's. I think Mum worked with Barb Bentley. And then she had 4 girls. They were all named alphabetically. There was Anne, Barb, Christine, and Dee Dee. So I remember Barb saying to Dee Dee to take me somewhere. So this kid got handballed me, and she took me to Moomba. That first year we went into Moomba. which was, it's a Melbourne institution. And, yeah, AC/DC were playing. We went to the My Music Bowl. I'd never heard of AC/DC. And they were playing, you know. I don't remember anything about it, apart from one thing, which was, they said that they were filming it, so to make a noise. They were filming a rock show, a rock movie. Crab apples. But this is the dummy that I am. I suppose I was still in South African mode. This big knife that Gould gave me. Brian Gould's grandfather left him this knife collection. It's about 50 knives. And not long before I left, hello, pup. Looks like a dingo. I'm looking at poles for a reason. They might have covered it up. Okay. I might have photos of it, I probably do, if we can't see it. And I'll explain once I finish the DD story. So, yeah, Gould had asked me over before I left, and I chose this knife. I've still got it. It's horribly rusty. Had that on the plane with me. Imagine that these days, eh? And for some reason I took this knife in my sock when DD and me went to the city that time. And I'm walking around, it's constantly freaking falling out till she sees that I've got a knife in my sock and says, "What are you doing with that?" No, it's not that one. Yes, it's gorgeous, isn't it, eh? It'll afford to live here. These are not for strugglers or battlers or people on disability pensions. Look at this, eh? I mean, for Max, our best mate. Oh, Max gets his own headstone. What a great guy, eh? Alright, we're running out of poles. Oh, here's one. But I reckon maybe it's further up. All will be revealed. Oh, there it is. Can you see that? Those are chop marks with an axe. Alright. So what happened was, as I said, I lived at my sister's for years. I'd go away overseas and then come back and just automatically assume I was going to live there again. And they used to go up to Lake Boga, where they live now, up near Swan Hill, so I'd stay and look after the cats, supposedly. And but anyway, I don't know where they were this time, but these mates came over. I'm thinking Boot, I'm thinking Tom, Rick. So we had this sort of wannabe barbecue back at my sister's. I don't think any of us really ate anything. And it was more about, we can cut up here. It was more about drinking piss. So we grabbed things to come down to the park to have a play. It was the night time. And one of those things we grabbed was this axe. Now, I didn't chop. I will say that. I didn't take it on to chop down a freaking phone pole. Imagine if it had come down. But one of us started swinging an axe at that wooden phone pole, right? And you know, it was a dead of night. A suburb like this is real quiet, so the sound of an axe chopping, it echoed all the way down the street. So it wasn't very long until we saw the headlights of a divvy van, a police divvy van, come cruising along. That's where we went down. So we all ran into the Hedgeley Dean. We ran all different directions. Boot was on this kid's push bike, like a little tricycle that he found. We ran in all directions till we got back here, gasping for air, holding our sides with laughter. So, but the other thing we used to do, Tom had this big sort of HG ute, big engine in it. He was like a mechanic, so he could modify things. He used to go on to that Hedgeley Dean. There's a parkland down below that lake, and we'd do, you know, donuts in the car, tearing up the lawn, which gave them the incentive to put in bollards, right? Yeah, you get the idea. What a dumb teenager. Oh, look at this place. Wow. Now, the house just up here, opposite my sister's, I think it's, my sister let me know one time that it was up for rent, and she put a word in for me, and it was split in two. There was two sides to it. That's it there. So that side, that was my door, but the other half of the house went to this rather attractive young woman. But me and my hoon friends used to live in there. I had a snake, got out and went over to my neighbour's house. But I lived there for a little while, not that long, before going back to South Africa. So we're going to walk up to the shops. There is something interesting taking place in the park, which I think is more than coincidental. Those flats are exactly the same. My mate Boot threw I think it's a pear, through the back of them, through the glass. And I think it was up the top here. Yeah, when we meet, my friend Simon, he introduced me to this guy Boot. I'll try and ask him about him. Boot used to ride his push bike from Brighton all the way over here, listening to Lynyrd Skynyrd on these huge beatboxes. It was the era of the beatbox, you know, late 70s. And Boot, it's a fair ride from Brighton. Boot would come over in his cowboy hat, listening to Lynyrd Skynyrd, bringing a packet of popcorn, sit with me and my sister and Roscoe. Now, these places on the corner are brand new. There used to be blocks of flats here. Yeah. Right. And there was still there, the laneway. Went through that laneway, and there was a block of flats here with these big. Was what I was going to say. when Boot came over at the end of the night, we used to go out into my sister's yard. Had a big lemon tree. We'd take these lemons off and throw them as far as we could, and you'd wait a couple of seconds and you hear bang on some person's roof as they're trying to sleep. And that night I was throwing pears on the roof of this block of flats, not these ones, old ones, and Boot just aimed straight at this big glass frame on the stairwell. Absolutely smashed it to bits. What a lunatic. Anyway, this is Central Park, right? We used to come up here a lot, sometimes for nefarious reasons. So we completed looking up at the shops and the old chemist, where I was a delivery kid for a little while. Didn't last long, because I found out about working in the supermarket. But along here, see where those plastic things are, and that screening, that's where I used to play cricket with little Megan. She was sort of my friend when I got back. You know, it took me a while to make friends. So me and little Megan used to play this cricket out in the street. Or we also invented a game called bucket ball. It was an old deflated sort of little ball, plastic, and we used to aim it at the bucket, at the bin. You know, you stand at a distance and try and plonk it in the bin. I always gave her an advantage, but didn't mean she won very often. But yeah, we used to play cricket along there. You know, whacking the tennis ball onto the cars. People started complaining. Over to the left, where those people are coming, there's a sort of actually where the scaffolding is, I'd say, was where Alan and what's her name lived. They were good friends of my sister's, and he's the guy who said that he found those pictures of the Boer, the Battle of Modderfontein, the one that I bought and got framed. He reckoned he found them at the tip. But one other memory I want to just kind of where this guy's car is parked, the Isuzu, the tradie, is the last place I saw my dad. Dad came over for the last time, in about 91, I think. And he always stayed here at 12 Nyora Street with my sister. He never stayed with me. He used to go up and stay with his brother, his twin, in Frankston. So he must have been booked to fly out the next day or something, and I came and saw him one more time, and yeah, somewhere here where that grey Isuzu is, I gave him a cuddle, told him I loved him. I'm glad I got to do that. So I've got to say goodbye to Nyora Street and say goodbye to 50 years. Oh look, I've never doubted that coming back was the correct decision, but I do feel if I'd have known that it was a matter of leaving my dad, I wouldn't have been that keen on it. I thought that I could go back and we could resume a family life. That's not to be, but as I said, within about a year of coming back here, and I've got the letters that where I'm asking about going back to Brackpan, and my brother's saying, no, stay there, dummy. He says, your home is there, dummy. He was right. This is my home, not Brackpan. Never was. And but yeah, Mum and Dad are both buried in Africa. Mum's buried in Brackpan, Dad's buried in Wangi, Zimbabwe. Yeah, if I'd have stayed in South Africa, like I was getting into the drugs pretty heavily. The people I was hanging around with were getting into petty crime, drugs, alcohol. I would have been drafted into the army, sent to the border. That would have killed me. and eventually I would have come back and not had the offer from my sister. So although it was tough for a while, and I clashed with her, in the end, within a few years, you know, I had a job and I had a girlfriend and I had my own car and I was living opposite her in that little place. And, you know, my life was better here than it could ever have been in South Africa. All right, we're going to go to my old school now. Okay, so now we're down at Caulfield Tech. I haven't been back here, I don't think, since I left. Did go to a party there once. That's a football ground. There was a party there one night. I went dressed as Snoopy. My housemate was Charlie Brown. But this was our playground. It's Caulfield Tech. It's now been sort of partitioned off. They've put tennis courts in there. So how this came about, I got home, I guess, on the 15th of January, which is today, and within about a fortnight, so schools went back, and I didn't have a school, so I looked around. There was Caulfield High, Caulfield High, which is over there, but I was out of their zone. I could have gone to Chadstone High, which was pretty rough, and it was a long way from where my sister lived. So anyway, my sister had been to MIT, which is the Melbourne Institute of Technology. Just looking at that dog with his mum, I think that'd be a pretty good life, actually, having that for a mum. But anyway, yeah, this professor came over from MIT because my sister, she wanted me to, she thought MIT was fantastic. I don't know what she went back there to study, but she thought it was fantastic. So she reckoned I should have gone there. But anyway, the professor came for dinner and he was a real lefty, you know, with the Save the ABC badges and Save the Whale, you know, put an end to the death penalty, all those sort of old badges. So he talked to me and said, you know, what are you into? What's your interests? Well, I had no freaking idea. You know, my sister said, oh, they're quite good. They're an artist. I bought out this big picture I bought back, which was Hendrix sitting on a chair playing an acoustic guitar that Dad did for me. I made out like I'd drawn it. That's how pathetic. And I got a stencil, and I stenciled in songs like Hey Joe all along the watchtower, and the professor pointed out that Hendrix hadn't written any of those songs. This is the old CIT, the Caulfield Institute of Technology, still there. We used to run across the road sometimes. They'd have bands on. So anyway, the professor, or whatever he was, he said, well look, Caulfield Tech has a sort of one stream, one class that isn't tech-minded. It was decided pretty quickly that I'm not technical, you know, I can't do sheet metal, I can't do freaking woodwork. So he says, you know, they got this curriculum where they do typing, they do legal studies, they do accountancy. So that's what I did. I enrolled here. My sister brought me down. We went around the front, I think it was, and I met the principal. The thing was, I only did up to year 11 here, right? They didn't do, oh wow, the corridors. They didn't go all the way up to year 12. So, yeah. So that's how I ended up here. It was an all-boys school, 1976. And yeah, I initially, I guess I started walking. Then I started riding a bike down, I suppose. We used to wear these mustard coloured yellow shirts, grey jumper, sort of grey. Hello. I came to this school 50 years ago.
Right.
One day am I allowed to walk along and come back again?
Yeah. So you were.
It's changed a lot.
You were a student?
I was a student, yeah.
All right.
50 years ago.
Wow. Times change. This building hasn't changed at all.
No, well, these windows look different, but yeah, we never had the tennis courts out there. That was our playground.
See.
Yeah.
See, they are moving all this furniture out now.
Yeah.
Everything is going.
We used to run over there when they had open days. Sometimes they had music.
All right.
We'd run over there. We weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
We wore these yellow shirts. Very, very 70s.
Yeah. I'll leave you to it.
All right, thank you. That's pretty good. So, those windows would be the same. Hey, I wonder if we could go in there. Yeah, look. These windows would be exactly the same. God. This is incredible. Incredible. I never dreamt I would be walking through Caulfield Tech again. Yeah, but none of these walls were here. Obviously, I don't know why. Yeah, look at this. Look, there's some of the stuff we would, the primitive computers they would have had. But they came after me, right? Oh, this is their computer studies. Wow. That's incredible. I wonder if I could go upstairs. We never went through there much, but I think we might have. Yeah. I tend to think a lot of our classes were upstairs. Cushy job that guy's got. I wonder if we could go upstairs. Oh, it's got a key card on it. That goes out there. Well, maybe I'm getting confused. I always remember we were lined up here one time and there was broken glass here and I was running my finger on it. Is there an upstairs or no?
Upstairs it all goes down.
Oh, it's all gone, is it?
Yeah, all gone.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So you've been overseas or?
Sort of, yeah. I just thought I'd come back for one more look, you know, just for memories. It's changed so much. Alright, see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of our lessons were upstairs. I can't. Oh yeah. See up there? Oh, he reckons that's all locked up or closed up. There is a bridge going over, but yeah. Yeah, I was running my finger along the broken glass and the principal saw me and said, "Carter, if I told you to do that, would you do it?" We used to have assemblies here. Yeah. There used to be a little like platform, which I imagined one time we could have a little stage, have a show. I reckon these walls are the same. Kids used to play down ball against it, right? If I can see the stage. No. Alright. Stop recording. Okay, so got to say goodbye to Caulfield Tech. But yeah, a lot of the classes were up there. Mr. Lorby, stuff of legend. If I can, I'm not sure I could put it in words, this guy, Mr. Lorby. So maybe we never went to these classes. Maybe we never went there. Maybe we always went to those bottom level. I think the library was sort of there. But yeah, we came out of here one time. There was a truck unloading Coke and cans of Fanta and all that, and my school friends were egging me on, grab one. So I looked around, he seemed to be distracted, so I grabbed this can of Coke. Next minute he's come flying along, grabbed me by the neck. Anyway, somewhere along here you can still sort of see the guttering, right? And on the other side is also gutter, and there was another sort of lip along there, and kids used to stand here and throw tennis balls along that lip and catch them. And then some Weisenheimer, because over there's the railways, some kid found this iron wheel off from the railways over there, and he stood on our assembly ground and he rolled this wheel. This was at playtime, right? He rolled this wheel over there and it hit this lip, went up in the air and hit this kid smack in the face, right? And we were called to assembly to tell us, you know, not to go in the railway property. You know, a child has been hurt, he's been taken to hospital, and you know, it was a big deal. So years later, I'm sharing a house with a guy, Chris Riley. Lived with him for years. One time I noticed this scar on his forehead. I said, "What's that?" He said, "Yeah, I was at Caulfield Tech and I got hit in the head by a iron wheel." It was him. He was a good friend, Chris. He was an imp. He was a womanizer. Good looking guy. Bass player. His brother was in Rose Tattoo, Rob Riley. Always had girlfriends. Went and saw him play many gigs. Yeah, he's a good guy, but he never really grew up when I was with him, and kind of, I don't know. He found a really nice woman, nice, down to earth, who had a bit of money, and to my mind he kind of leached on that a bit, but I don't know if they're still together. I haven't seen him for years. Keep thinking about trying to reach out to him, but what would I say? But anyway, yeah, so this was it. And in fact, over there we did this, we went outside one time with school. We had an Indian teacher, like a sari, not a feather headdress, but wearing a sari. She had you know, the red dot the Hindus wear, and she took us out there to sit in our class, and I got talking to her, and it turns out, here's the other coincidence, that her family rented 12 Baker Street, where we had been living. I was up at the chemist before. The guy owned that place. Well, they rented it after we left, because her kids found my Batman mask. I bought this Batman mask and I left it at the house. And yeah, how's that, eh? So anyway, the first year here, yeah, I was real lonely. I had a bit of the South African accent. I had short hair. They all had long hair. Dress was fairly, it wasn't like Brackman High, they had a dress code, but they weren't that strict on it. So it was yellow shirt, mustard yellow, grey school pants, school shoes, and a grey school jumper. But to get around that, some of the kids were already wearing like grey Levi's or Lee jeans, and the teachers were kind of okay with it. But you could have long hair, there was no problem with the hair. So that was big. But yeah, when I got here, first year I was really quiet. I befriended this kid called John Giannopoulos something. He had this really long Italian or Greek name, but he had real bad acne. He had this powder, white powder, that he used to put on his face for the acne. And one of the things he was always going on about was, as soon as he turned 18, he was going to change his name, Giannopoulos or something. And so I befriended him because it was his first year here as well, and I was year 10, right? But he stuck it out 6 months, and then he went somewhere. He left school, he went somewhere else. I went to his place. He lived in Caulfield. They were real wealthy. So for most of the year here, there, I didn't really know anyone, you know. I used to listen to them. Now, there was a guy called Alan Turner and a guy called Frank Casamento in that year. And I was listening to them, you know, and they were talking about going to see Status Quo at the Myer Music Bowl. Fuck, I wish I'd have gone. I should have said, can I come, or something. But anyway, they went to see Quo, and when they came back to school sort of the next day or whenever, they were talking about the concert. And Alan Turner was a good looking guy. Frank was the son of a fruiterer over there in Glen Huntly. And yeah, they had girls on their shoulders, and Quo were rocking out, and it was a hot night listening to Quo, and fuck, I wish I'd have gone. So anyway, point being that I thought, I've got to make friends with these guys. So the next year when I came back, I had a different attitude completely. I was more out there. And I made friends with Frank Casamento. I used to go to his place. He used to go out the back of the fruit shop where he had his room. We sort of played a bit of guitar together. We were learning guitar, you know, we were just kids. But anyway, that builds up to what I'm going to do now. So me, Alan, Frank, another kid called Stephen Kropp, we used to come up here, and this fence wasn't this big. It was sort of half size. You could leap over it real easy. You weren't supposed to leave the school grounds. And we did have a canteen, but it was kind of average. So we used to come over here and go to the milk bar on Waverley Road, which I'm going to do now. And look at this. Someone's been nice enough to close the gate. And we'd run across this road, which even then was real busy. Still busy now. We'd run it. Yeah, the battery cut out. So yeah, we'd fly across that Dandenong Road. You know, 4 of us in our yellow shirts. And we were coming to a milk bar on Waverley Road, which I'm going to go to now. I'll show you the way we used to walk. You know, Alan Turner wanted to be a basketball player. I remember he was smoking, and we were going, Alan, you're smoking, and you want to play basketball for Australia. I know, he says. I wonder what won out, the smoking or the basketball in Alan's life. Yeah, so by the second year, I was the school clown, or the class clown. There was only 12 in our class. All the others, as I said, classes were all shit, like trades kids. And Yeah, I gotta make mention of Lorby, Mr. Lorby. He was a man of many sayings that to kids, school kids, we latched onto. You know, there were many Mr. Lorby imitators. He was a guy that was completely unsuited to teaching. Big beard, small guy. He drove like an early Suzuki four-wheel drive because in his words, geology's me hobby. And he was a science teacher. And we were real unruly. But it didn't just happen with our class. It happened with all the classes that had Mr. Lorby. And he had these catchphrases. One of them was, "Now look." And he'd grab his chin and rub it. And he'd look at you in the eye. If you laughed, you got kicked out. So there was always a line of kids outside his classroom that he kicked out for laughing. And he had all these sayings. Big joke. So in the second year, I remember, first class of the second year, 77 when I rocked up, he says, "Here's a bright young mathematician." That was another one of his lines. And it was me, you know. I lasted about 10 minutes and got kicked out. So yeah, we would walk along this laneway, me and the guys, on our way to the milk bar to get, like, they had real nice ham salad sandwiches or rolls, nice cakes. It's just a milk bar. We'll see if it's still there. Right. This is a block of flats. If you get on Google Earth, it stops here. It won't let you look in here because I guess it's people's private. I don't know, actually. I haven't seen any of those guys for years and years. I didn't stay friends with them. Really. I did see Frank Casamento on Facebook one time. Look at this. But this is Waverley Road. My thought was that the milk bar was a little way down. Couldn't say. Oh, being getting run by the tram. A lot of memories along here too. Waverley Road. When I did finally leave my sister's first time, I got a place just down off the left there with a bunch of older guys. What we're going to do is walk up to the corner and we get back to my car. Then I'm going to tell you guys about my first job, proper job after the chemist. The chemist was just a waste of time, really. It might have been here, but this is this deli, but I reckon it was a milk bar. I couldn't say where it was. But yeah, we enjoyed the lunches, just getting out of school and walking around a bit, you know. Carpet shop, eh? Afghani carpets. You know, these little places stay afloat. But this place on the corner was a fish and chip shop. Me and Boot used to come down. Remember Boot, the guy that threw the pear through the window? We used to walk down here, as teenagers do. We get a hamburger with a lot. Over in that corner where the counter is, they had like a gaming machine, you know, real primitive Pong that went You know, one of the very first video games. Oh. And it's just one other memory you won't be able to see it from here. So yeah, I missed out on the Quo gig with Alan and Frank because I was too shy to ask can I come along. But on top of that building, on that side, was a billboard. And coming to school one time, they had a big colour picture of Status Quo announcing that they were touring the Rock and All Over the World tour, right? So anyway, what I'm going to talk about now, at one stage we were here at school, and I don't know how we found out, but someone came to school and said they're opening a new supermarket in Carnegie and they want kids to work there. So we all got on our bikes and we rode over to Carnegie to the Woolies I'm going to show you guys, and we all signed up to work there. They put on about, I don't know, 30-40 kids, but they started letting them go almost as soon as they employed them. You know, by the first week 10 had gone, then the next week another 10, but somehow they kept me. I stuck around for years. It was good money, you know, for a kid in those days. It was real good money. And I haven't been back here for years and years. So let's go and have a look. Well, I gotta say, geez, it's changed around this place. Carnegie. It's flat out, and it's really Asian. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all, because there's fantastic restaurants here now in Carnegie. A lot of Asian eateries. But it was nothing like that when I was coming to do my shifts here at Woolies. So it was brand new. It was built in, I don't know, 76, 77, this place. Right. I can smell the beautiful food. Dumplings. I think I got my bag and then go in and buy something. Yeah. And I had great years here. You know, I used to mop the floors a lot. I was pack the bags. I used to have guys and girls packing the bags, check out chicks. I think they were all girls that did the checkouts. And this is where I met Michelle. Her mother lined us up because Michelle was doing her deb, and the mother thought I would be a good deb partner because I was tall. But yeah, I thought I was pretty shit hot when I was here. Didn't take long for my ego to inflate. Used to park my car along here. Once I started driving, I mean, I kept working here for years, mopping floors, working in the warehouse, filling racks. Used to do overtime. Got good money, you know, back in those days. Got real good money. My first thing I bought with my money was a digital radio, clock radio, up at the electrical place in Carnegie. It's got Vietnamese writing on it. Wow. God, have I ever been in here before? Since service desk was kinda here. Yeah. A long line of checkouts here. Checkout chicks. And I did myself my own badge They used to call us redcoats because we had these red vests on. And, you know, the girls at the counter would call in a price check and you'd run, do price checks, or they might mop and bucket to aisle 7, you know. I remember the storeroom. Actually in there, still is. We used to go in there to the manager's office and upstairs to the storeroom. This kid. I really do not want to engage and tell him that I was him once. I remember wearing these ridiculous platform shoes. Yeah, I was already 6'1". Platform shoes took me up to about 6'5". real tight flares, bell bottoms. He used to come out of here. He used to crush the boxes, maybe still do, but he used to ride the pallet out here. You could move along on the pallet before the shop opened and, you know, do wheelies, and yeah, it was incredible. All these aisles used to mop. So I think probably worked Friday night. Saturday morning was real busy. Saturday afternoon, overtime, stocking shelves. There used to be a night crew came and filled up the shelves as well. But here's a memory that people wouldn't understand or know. You don't get any more. On a Saturday, about 11, I reckon the meat stands were along here somewhere. You used to have to go and put these lids with locks on them on the meat section. You weren't allowed to sell meat after 11 in Victoria on a Saturday. Something to do with the butchers. But yeah, after a while I got really into the social aspect of Woolies, and I was organising cricket matches and football matches against our opposition, which was Safeway. You know, I had friends that worked at the Safeway in Glen Huntly. So yeah, made a lot of friends here, hanging out with a lot of them. Would have expected some sort of, yeah, the badge I made, anyway, as I mentioned, I made this badge for myself which said head red coat or something. I gave myself a promotion till the manager said, that's not quite how it works, mate. You don't promote yourself. Get a chicken. Quite good friends with the girl in the girls in the deli section. They were sisters. Used to hang out with them a bit. Where their meat section is. Yeah, it seems a bit smaller than I remember. Oh man. But I reckon it'd be the same around the back. Yeah, as I said, they laid off the kids one by one. I wonder if this guy could tell me. Excuse me, sir, where is the meat section?
Meat section.
On there, is it? Oh, okay. Ah, yes, I see. Thank you. Very good. Yeah. I dare not engage with any of them, trying to tell them 50 years ago I was here when they opened. Some sort of welcome back would have been in order for their head red coat. Yeah, I was always cracking jokes and trying to make the, and in today's terms I would have been fairly creepy, trying to make the check out chicks laugh and, you know, flirting. So that kind of brings the end to my day of reminiscing down here 50 years ago. I'm gonna get home and forget about it all, I suppose. You know, fucking hell. Good thing I had no idea what life was to hold for me. You can't live. I'm 65 now. You can't live freaking 65 years and not have some heartache, some pain, eh? It's just not going to happen. Well, I'm going to turn it off now.